Alafia. I'm Dr. Gloria Latimore-Peace, host and producer of OmniU Presents the H3O Art of Life show. The title of our show is Education in the Community, and I am very pleased to have the president of Kennedy King College here with me, Clyde El Amin. And I want to talk about Kennedy King because there are so many good things going on over there. But the first thing I want to know is what happened with this big building that they abandoned and moved down into Inglewood. Why was that decision made? And tell me about the new complex too.
Well, the big building had a lot of problems, so I wouldn't say we abandoned it. I'd say
Okay.
We made a decision to get out of it before it abandoned us.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that there were lots of problems with the building. I mean,
Okay.
it was a nice design. It looked nice, but the building was really, really, really troublesome.
Okay. Are there plans for that?
At this point, those decisions are being made above my head, but
Okay.
there'll be a final determination as to whether or not to demolish the building and develop the land, or to try to do something with the building. But that's actually made outside of the college. That's not one of our.
Okay.
That's not our decision.
Now let's get down to Kennedy King College. How big is that college? It just goes on for blocks.
Well, it's a new concept for community colleges. Obviously not a new concept for universities. It does cover a little bit more acreage than the old building did, and it's laid out differently. And we believe in a much more appealing way, as a college. And it certainly has a greater aesthetic and positive aesthetic impact on the surrounding area by being more of a sprawling campus than one big building or one big structure. It's I believe about 500,000 square feet, and it's really, from the student perspective, and this is just my observations of students, I think that layout says something to students about where they are. It certainly suggests to many think that I'm on a college campus now. I'm moving from building to building. I think it also requires another level of responsibility to make that, to traverse the campus and negotiate your way from class to class. But it also fits our programs to have, a culinary school and a particular structure, and to have, media arts and a radio station and a TV station in a particular structure, so that they can actually complement one another. And, to have the arts and sciences concentrated, in a particular structure, as well as, the vocational or technological programs that we have. I like it. I think it's really served us well. I think you're probably going to see that particular layout happening with more community colleges around the country, and perhaps in the region.
I have to say, your culinary school that finally became or annexed a restaurant.
Yes, the Sakia restaurant.
How did that come about?
Well, a culinary school needs a place for students to practice what it is they're learning. And most culinary schools actually have a restaurant. The ones in the local area here, as well as many of the finer culinary schools around the country, have a restaurant associated with them. We think, obviously there's some bias here, but I think it's probably somewhat objective to say that because ours was one of the most recent ones built, we think that the restaurant and the culinary school is state of the art. And we think that the restaurant reflects, the aesthetics of the community, and the concept of the restaurant is certainly in line with the community that it serves.
Well, I've been there, and the ambiance is just startling, because you really don't expect a school-related restaurant not to look like a cafeteria.
Okay.
And so when you walk in and the decor is so beautiful and the music is so wonderful, so rich, and then the food is so good and the service is good as well, and they take on some very challenging dishes.
Yes, they do. The theme of the restaurant Sikia is from it's a Swahili word, and it means harmony, but it means harmony on so many more levels. That could be a discussion in itself, but I think it's probably noteworthy to say that it means harmony in a more African sense than we usually think of the word harmony when we say it here. You know, harmony in English has many applications and many meanings too. But the other, you made comments about the decor. It's a very harmonious decor, and there's a real African flavor and influence there. And when someone walks in there, they know that they're in a fine dining establishment. They know and feel the African influence, the excellent African influence, you know, from the sculptures that are there in the other decor, and just the actual design itself.
And the music.
So we know that the students, we don't know where our students are going to end up working. We don't know whether they're going to end up working at a 5-star restaurant or a restaurant in a 5-star hotel, or whether they're going to have their own business. But wherever they go, we don't want it to be new to them. We want them to know how to give service at the highest level that anyone can expect. And the only way you can prepare them for that is to simulate that experience while they're being trained. We certainly don't expect every student that comes to our college to have lived that. There's a great chance that they haven't lived that. But we can guarantee that they have experienced it by the time they leave.
Well, that's just, you know, the unique thing that I found. I was once with the city colleges. I was once an assistant dean at Olive Harvey College. And so, you know, I'm familiar with the workings, the general workings. I'm pretty sure you must have the same kind of hierarchy. You have a vice president, and you have deans, and you have a faculty, and so forth and so on. How do you get all of this this professional team together? How were these people already at Kennedy King, and they at the old building, and they went with you when the new building opened, or was some recruitment done, or how?
A bit of both.
Okay.
Well, first of all, we knew that we were moving. We knew that years before. But even if we were not moving, we knew that we wanted our programs to be the finest programs, no matter what the discipline. And we knew that we had a charge to deliver the finest possible education to the students and really to our community. And our students are not, quote unquote, oftentimes people are talking to me about our students and say, well, you know, the kids would love this. Where, you know, the median age of our students is 28 to 30.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got grown people.
We're talking about people with many more responsibilities than I had when I was a college student. But we think because they're making this sacrifice, they certainly deserve us to give them the best. You know, I did not have a lot of professional role models when I was coming up. I didn't experience a lot of the things that I needed to, a lot of the situations that I needed to know how to handle in my adult life, in my professional life, in my career. But I had teachers and I had folks who used whatever they had to make sure that I was as prepared as I could be. And that's the same spirit that we used in terms of making sure that we made all the improvements that our resources and our imaginations would allow us to make at Kennedy King College. And we were further inspired by the fact that we were getting a new campus. That was not the only thing inspiring us. You know, it was simply what we knew we ought to do as educators of our community, is to give them the absolute best that you can give them, to
What's
engineer
the size of your faculty?
We have a number of a variety of instructional roles at the college. Okay, because we're a comprehensive community college. We provide everything from adult education for folks who want to get their GED, or for some people who actually need adult basic education, but they are beyond high school age. We provide the first 2 years of college that a student would experience if they were at a university pursuing pre-med or pursuing psychology or pursuing pre-law. We also provide a range of career programs that are vocational, occupational, or just professional in nature. So we have a particular set of requirements for people who are going to teach the culinary arts. That's very different from the requirements of folks who are going to teach adult ed, and also very different from the folks who are going to, for example, teach students biology because the students are pursuing pre-med or they're pursuing doing prerequisites for nursing, etc. And then we've got another set of folks at Dawson Technical Institute, which focuses on construction trades.
That's part of Kennedy King
That's part of Kennedy King College.
Okay.
Yeah. Kennedy King has administered Dawson since around 1994.
All right.
So those folk are people who are actually journeymen in their field.
Okay.
You know.
Such fields as
Carpentry, concrete, brick masonry, welding, and I don't want to forget it, painting. We have a couple of apprenticeship programs in residence at Dawson. We have the elevator construction and repair, and we also have the painters in residence at Dawson now.
You have plumbers?
We have plumbers, that's the one I forget.
Okay.
Drain layer, plumbing and drain layers. So, and some of those programs are prep programs also. They're prepping people so that they can get ready for an apprenticeship, you know, and those apprenticeships can come in a number of ways. So that's a different set of qualifications, but they're all educating people.
Right, right.
And we don't make any judgments about who's doing what's most important, because none of them are doing anything more important than the other, because they're all meeting students where they are and helping to engineer success for those students. And we don't know. The student who starts off in culinary arts may end up a clinical nutritionist.
Right, right.
A student who starts off in construction trades may end up with a BA in business or an MBA because they get inspired by their own success to do more.
Do students who train at Dawson have an opportunity to become union members? Is there an avenue from there to...
We work with the unions, and I would certainly we still have a lot more work to do there. We have better it's more streamlined for some trades than others. And we are trying to improve in those areas where it's not nearly as streamlined as we would want it to be. But there are some, in some of the trades, it's almost a straight shot. And some of the trades, it's quite an obstacle. But we also have another program that's something of a hybrid. We have overhead electrical line worker training, which we do in close cooperation with ComEd and other companies who contract with ComEd. And so they don't go into trade unions in the way that a carpenter does. But you know, that field has its own unions within the companies. And there it's very streamlined. They helped us to develop the program. ComEd has so far hired most of the students who graduate out of that program, and those that they haven't, in most cases, that one of their contractors picks those students up. You know? So the relationships are varied in quality, but those that are not what we want them to be, we will not give up. We will continue to work with them as long as we see progress. We will continue to push for what we know is best for our students, because they certainly deserve the opportunity. They certainly have the talent and the skill and the intellect to be apprentices.
Okay, I got so many things I want to know about the library. I want to know about art and music.
Okay.
So whichever.
Okay. Well, I'm very excited about music and the arts. After this campus was built, we actually went into some space that was in the original part of the original construction that left us room to grow, so to speak. And we just actually completed our music lab. You know, we use a lot of technology now. You can miniaturize a lot of that now, and still be able to teach, you know, the skill sets that students need to play a variety of instruments, and you know, from keyboarding, you know, from keyboards to synthesizers, etc. We are trying to capitalize on technology because we don't have a big budget to go out and buy a ton of instruments. We can still get they can still develop those faculties, you know, for music. I'm very proud of the instructors that we have. We have the full-time professors as well as the adjuncts. Very, very dedicated, very talented. So we're really excited because we're moving music to another level. We have two outstanding professors in visual arts. Samuel Acania,
Of course.
and Samuel is renowned,
Absolutely.
around the country and really around the world. And we also have Desmond McFarland, who's not as well known as Samuel, but certainly is quite an established artist in his own right. And I think anyone who is a collector who's picking up his stuff is going to be really happy a few years from now. And he also has, and they both have their own studio, so they really know the world of art. They don't just know how to teach art. They don't just know academic.
You can't come to Kennedy King, though, and buy the art. You have to go to their studio.
Yeah, we don't sell their art.
Okay.
But what they do is they really use that to help our students see how artists make a living. So we're very happy that they are, in fact, practicing artists who know the commercial aspects of it, who know the marketing aspects of it, who know the client relationship aspects of it. Because if students don't get that, again, they don't come to us.
They don't know the business.
They don't know the business. They don't know what it looks like for someone to be successful as an artist. They don't know what they do, because if the only thing they see is the teaching side of it, they think all artists teach. Most artists don't make their living teaching. But client development and cultivating clients, they do. Our students have an exhibit at the end of every semester at Samuel Acania's
and I've
gallery.
been to
And you've been
those,
at a number of them, yes.
Right, yes.
And they've been exposed to Desmond's gallery, which is in a new art district here in South, near South on Halsted, and that whole area. That's developing as like the new art district.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
18th, 19th, Halsted, from
I've
12th Street
seen,
back.
yes, I've seen those,
So
yes.
It's rapidly growing. So we're really excited about that. Now, there was another one you asked me about. I want to try to cover all the ones you mentioned.
Art, music, and the library.
In the library.
Yes.
We've always had a really good collection. We still love to have a benefactor though, so that we could have the collection that we really want. But our library is like most college libraries now. It belongs to a number of consortia, and library collaboration, so that our students actually have access to more than our library. They can retrieve books from almost anything that's online through our library, and of course a lot of the material is online now. So we have our librarians actually work with our faculty to teach our students how to use the library and really how to navigate this new world of information. So much of it is in cyberspace now. And our librarians really are comfortable with the new library technology and the new world of what I call the cyber library, because there's so much information that we carry around on our little flash drives, etc. now. I mean, pretty soon they're saying the Library of Congress is going to be able, everything in there is going to be able to be placed on something about the size of one of my fingers. So that's the new world of information. We don't want, at the same time, to completely dissociate ourselves with books, because I think people need to physically, for lack of a better word, hug books to really love books and love the information that's in them.
I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't have books around me.
Well, I have probably more than people think I ought to have around me all the time, whether I'm at home or at work.
Right.
But we have our library. It's directly adjacent to what we call our academic building, and in there we have what you would find in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences the first 2 years at a major university or a liberal arts, four-year liberal arts college. Our sciences, our natural sciences, life and physical sciences, our social sciences. We have a criminal justice program that we've expanded so that we offer both a concentration for a student who wants to transfer now, as well as an associate of applied science degree for a student who wants to go into a related career in criminal justice. We have nursing. We have a practical nursing and registered nursing preparation at Kennedy King now. And we're doing something unique that we think really works well for our community on two levels. And first I'll tell you what that is. We have what we call a career ladder approach. A student can come to us and start in our practical nursing program. And if they come with all the prerequisites done, that takes them about a year. They can go to work because many of our students, as I mentioned, they have responsibilities. You know, they have children at home. They can go to work after a year if they choose to. And they can come back, and with a summer of preparation, they can just complete the second year of the associate degree program and take the exam to be an RN. So that gives them access at the PN level. It gives them an opportunity to work after a shorter commitment to study, which many of them need. I mean, they really do need to get to work sooner because they have to feed their families now. But after they get a little bit more stabilized financially, they can come back, and in our evening program, we have an evening RN program, so they can actually complete that preparation for the RN license, and they can sit for that licensure exam, and now they're an RN. We think that works a lot better for our community right now. We're not in any way opposed to having that 2-year ADN program, and we probably will move back to that and make that option available to students soon too.
Are you preparing teachers?
We are
social
preparing
workers?
students to become teachers, and most of that work is still done at the four-year universities, but they can certainly get, in 2 years with us, they can get well prepared for that. We have early childhood education for students who want to actually pursue education of that young person up to pre-K. They can actually do 2 years with us. It's very focused on that. Early childhood development, we call that program.
They could also work in daycare centers.
Yes. Yeah, they can do both. They can go to work, or they can transfer. And we have articulation agreements with several institutions who offer the bachelor's degree. We have a really strong science department because we prepare many students to be nurses. Now we are just really focused on giving our students a lot of exposure to the careers that exist, that are based on the sciences. And there's a lot of excitement about it. We're finding that many students who thought they couldn't wrestle with that are finding that they can when they have.
What are some careers that you can get involved in with just 2 years?
Lots of them, because I hadn't even gotten to the Associate of Applied Science degree areas. We have automotive technology. It's no longer as, let me put that another way. Many people underestimate the skill set, the thinking skills, et cetera, that someone has to have to be successful as an automotive technician, to even actually make it in the field now, because our automobiles are so much more sophisticated than they used to be. I mean, you can't be afraid of computers and become an automotive technician anymore. There are all kinds of digital controls and et cetera. But the same thing is true for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, which is another program that we have. And these are not, there's no such thing as a totally recession-proof career. But one thing I think we can say with great certainty, people still have to be warm no matter how bad the economy is. They have to be cool in the summer no matter how bad the economy is. If people aren't buying new cars, they have more old cars to repair. So the automotive technician is going to be in high demand in all economic cycles. The emphasis of the work that he or she does, and I say he or she because the women in our program, they're pretty tough. They give the guys a run for their money when they're in the program. Almost all the time when the women are in the program, they do what we used to call set the curve. Yes.
All right.
And because the field has changed so much, there is not, it's not a grunt field anymore. It's a smarts field now. It's the diagnostics and all the way that when you take your car in for service now, I mean, you can see how much more of it is computerized than it used to be. So you don't have to be so physically strong to be successful in automotive tech as an auto mechanic anymore. But you certainly have to be smart. And that's not a problem. We don't have a shortage of smarts among our people.
Do you have a clinic where people from the community can bring their cars?
We don't
diagnostic testing?
we don't hang out our shingles, so to speak, because
Didn't
people have a difficulty.
Didn't that used to be the case somewhere?
I
There
don't
was a
recall it
school
being the
that you
case
could
at
take
Kennedy
your
King.
car to. Maybe it was Dunbar.
It may have been Dunbar, and
Okay.
it may, but when we run into a lot of difficulty if we do that. There are insurance issues.
Right.
There's impatience on the part of a potential customer who doesn't understand that what you want done, they may not have gotten to that in the class yet. And I don't think you want them to do that to your car before they get to that point. And then there's a whole notion of responsibilities for the car, securing the cars, etc. But we do have several times a year they have diagnostic clinics where you can bring your car in for diagnosis, and it's open to the community and it's free.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
Last year we
good.
had a big festival, and lots of folks got their cars diagnosed. Yeah.
Is the library open to the community? Can the community come in and get library
Yes,
cards?
you can come in. You don't need a card. You can come in and you can use the materials. Only students can check materials out.
Oh, they can't
Yeah.
circulate,
But
but
they
they
can
can
circulate.
use the library.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
And
Like
and
other
the-
state
and
libraries, I
I'm
see
sure
it the
the
same way.
library has all of the audio visual services and
Yeah.
computers and what have you.
Yeah, there's a computer lab
People in the
inside the
community
library.
can come in and use those.
Well, the open computer labs are not in the library.
Okay.
They're in another building, but it's
Okay.
right there a few feet from the library.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the community can come in and make
Yeah,
use of those.
we have a number of programs at Kennedy King that are actually intended, to serve the community. We have a partnership with Jane Addams Hull House for job placement, and it's actually a program that's designed. It's a collaboration that actually is designed to help assist people finding employment. People in the Inglewood community and students of Kennedy King College can actually come to that Jane Addams Hull House Career Center. And they have a lot of experience with this. In fact, they're probably better at this than we are. Illinois Department of Employment Security also is on campus on Mondays and Tuesdays, except between semesters when we are not open. They're not there. So I think they probably start back this coming week, coming in on Mondays and Tuesdays and setting up in the student commons. They're, for lack of a better word, their software that you would be able to use at their office is also on computers at Kennedy King. Okay. So that's why we do that. They can serve our students and they serve people who live in the community, and there is really no firewall between those two categories because many of our students, all of them are from the community.
Okay.
But people who are not students can also come in. And it's a win-win for us because if you're looking for a job, a good place you ought to find yourself is in a college building because you might see how you can become more marketable while you are there. And we work with these partners. Part of our agreement with them is that you will help people to understand that if marketability is their problem, then they might take a look at some of our programs. Because many of them, some of them are short term. They're not all 2-year commitments.
What about your dining room or your lunch service for your students? Do they all go over to the
Washburn?
fancy restaurant?
No.
Okay,
No, our
so you
students can't
have.
afford to eat in the restaurant every day.
Okay, so what do you have?
We have a regular student commons, like all the other city colleges of
Okay.
Chicago.
Okay,
where
can
our
they get a
students
hot lunch?
They can come in and get a hot lunch, get
Or-
a snack, or whatever
okay.
they want.
Okay.
The culinary students do have a bakery / coffee shop
Okay.
that they operate every day from 10 until 1.
Okay.
That is adjacent to the restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, so whatever the students in the baking program are preparing that day, they sell in that shop
Okay.
starting at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I try not to go over there because I don't want to put on the pounds.
Okay, extracurricular activities, what kinds of things outside of academia and all of the stuff preparing you to go out into the world of work? What if you just want to, in between classes, have something to engage in?
No, we have a fitness center. We have it staffed during the time that most of the students might have some free time. We have a very active student government association, and we have student clubs on campus. The students elect student government every year. They're student government leaders. Our student government actually just sponsored a trip to the inauguration. They had a busload of students who
really?
went down to the
Okay.
inauguration. And this was their idea. It started with them. We supported them in every way we could to make it happen. But this came up from the students. It didn't come down from the administration. We also, so they have a lot of activities as well as clubs on campus. We have, I mentioned fitness, I mentioned student government, other things you can do between classes. I lost a thought. It was something really important I wanted to share with you. We don't like to see students just sitting around the cafeteria just playing cards. We don't stop people from doing it, but we really like to try to keep constructive activities because people need to learn how to constructively use their time if they don't already know how to do that. Most people know how to do that. They're just tempted to not do it. But almost everyone knows how to do that. So you can join a student club. You can certainly get involved with the Student Government Association. We have Toastmasters on campus. You know, we have a speech club. We are forming a chess club. We have varsity sports. That's what I wanted to mention. We are really proud of Kennedy King's varsity sports program. We have men's basketball, women's basketball. We have wrestling. We started women's volleyball this year. We have soccer. So all of those activities are also available, you know, for students. We have intramural activities. We try to keep intramural activities going so that students can have an opportunity to use, I mentioned the fitness center, to use the gym. So there are lots of choices of things to do, you know, on campus. But I like to remind students that it's not up to us to think of all the things that they would want to do on campus. It's up to them to say, well, it really would be great if we had this club, you know, and go through the process of starting the club. I mean, that's how the chess club came about, you know. Some students kept coming to me saying, we should have a chess club at Kennedy King College. We should have a chess club at Kennedy King College. I said, well, you know, I learned how to play chess at one time in my life, and I forgot. So you love chess, go through the process of student government to get the chess club started. So I think they're pretty much at the end of that process now, because they're coming to me talking about which colleges they want to challenge, you know, in chess. But we have some students who love chess, you know, and I love to see people playing chess. I think chess is a game that teaches you a whole lot more than how to move pieces on a board. It teaches you a style of thinking, you know, a paradigm that I think we all need right now, and most points in our history, I think we've needed it.
At the old Kennedy King, there used to be a lot of things that went on, like Montu Dance Theater would have shows there, and there would be this or that kind of thing going on. Do you have still some of those? You have an auditorium or a theater?
Yeah, we have a theater, a brand new theater with a very professional stage, you know, and backstage area. We have lots of events there. I look at the activity schedule every month, and sometimes the events are put on by the college, and sometimes the events are put on by groups from the community, you know, because they can also lease the facility, you know. And we have the Great Hall. We've had a number of events in the Great Hall. And we have a theater arts program also, you know, it's one of the curricula at the college. They do some things, and they learn stage theater technology as well as, you know, drama, acting, etc. So there are a lot of things happening there. We try to bring speakers to the campus. We're going to have an extensive African American History Month series of activities this year, as we've done every year.
And how will
and
we
I should
know
have
that?
brought you the calendar.
How will those of us who are interested
go to the
know
website?
That? Go to the website.
Yeah, kennedyking.ccc.edu. It'll be posted on the website. We'll probably be doing some e-blasts. In fact, I will have you give me your email address, and I will have someone send you the calendar.
All right.
Yeah, of events,
I'll be
because
happy
we'll
to
be
do
kicking
that.
off in about a week.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we're really proud. It gets better and better every year. And you know, we do have diversity at Kennedy King, so we also have a number of activities during Hispanic Heritage Month every year. So there are a lot of things to do on campus. Believe it or not, one of our challenges is to get students to come to them because our students are so busy. You know, so many of them have to leave campus when their classes are over.
Right.
So we sometimes try to work it with faculty to the extent that an activity is something that would enhance their classes. We let them know about it also. So if someone is speaking on campus and that person is someone that would really enhance what they're doing in their class, we encourage them to bring their classes to the event. And that
Do
way
you
they get
have
the
a
exposure.
radio show? Do
We
you
have
broadcast
we
from-
have WKKC is Kennedy King College radio station, and then they have a couple of within the digital age, I get this terminology wrong sometimes, but I know they have a couple of digital or high def stations. I'm not sure which ones you call it. And we also have WYCC is on the campus of Kennedy King, but WYCC serves all the city colleges.
Okay.
We take advantage of that through to benefit our students through our media communications program, which we kicked off anew in fall of '07.
Okay.
And
This means that you teach courses.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Students can students who want to major in television production, web production, radio, any aspect of radio and TV. And we really make sure our students understand that there's so many more jobs that you don't see on television and that you don't hear on radio than the ones you hear and see. Because you've got people making financial decisions behind the scenes. You've got people making content and production decisions behind the scenes. You've got people selling advertising so that you can stay on the air behind the scenes.
Do you have an ad class, an advertising?
And we have an advertising and marketing class.
Okay. Is
just
that
as
a
we have-
career, or is that just a part of just a?
Well, in 2 years, you have a hard time getting everything you need to have a career, but you can actually get prepared to become a salesperson just taking the courses that we have. You could actually go out and start, you know, as a salesperson, taking a collection of courses that we have. You could probably become a little bit more high-powered if you got some exposure to radio, for example, if that's your interest, and went on and transferred and got a degree in business and focused on sales and marketing. Because there's no commercial radio station or television station, there's not even a public television station or radio station that stays on the air without marketing. You know, they have the public stations have their pledge drives and all their fundraising that they do, and the commercial stations sell advertising, and we do underwriting. You know, you can actually do underwriting of our programs, and you know, we can say all the things we can say about your company or your business that the FCC rules on underwriting allow us to say.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I think people who watch public television now probably call what they see commercials, but they're really not commercials. You know, for example, one of my favorite shows that come on public television, you see there's a very famous car company that is talked about before the show comes on, and you say, wow, so this show is being sponsored by this car company. Actually, it's being underwritten. Okay. So there's things you can't say when it's underwriting that you can say in advertising. Okay. But there's not a whole lot of difference. But the difference, you have to know the difference to stay out of trouble with the FCC.
Okay.
But there's not a lot of difference.
Now, how long have you been president?
I've been president since June of 2003. I became interim president at June of 2003, and the search was completed, and I was selected to be president officially, however you say that, in May of 2005.
Okay.
So since 2003, June 2003, I've been doing the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm
tell us
working on 6 years.
Okay. Tell
Yeah.
us something about yourself. Where are you from? Where were you educated?
Well, I am really proud to say that I actually got my early education in one of those so-called segregated schools in Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay.
most of my elementary school, to be perfectly forthcoming, my first couple of years was probably in a rural school in Alabama.
Okay.
I think I stayed there for I know I was there. I think I was there for 2 years.
Okay.
So, but most of my elementary education I got in Montgomery, Alabama, in junior high school, and then finished high school in Detroit.
Okay.
You know, from my
From
freshman
Alabama
year.
to Detroit?
Alabama to Detroit. My mother thought it was about time to get us to another kind of environment.
Okay.
So, but I was very fortunate to be in Alabama when I was, because I was in Montgomery during the time of the bus boycott and all the parts of the struggle that came immediately after that, and was very, very able to see it. I had a box seat, to say the least, and many times felt I was participating, because my mother was very much a participant. Then I finished high school in Detroit and went to Wayne State for a couple of years, and then transferred to University of Michigan. And finished undergrad there, did some graduate work there, and got a job in Chicago. Came here planning to stay about a year, and that was in 1972.
Okay. Okay.
I guess.
Were you teaching?
No, actually, I came here to work for the Illinois Board of Higher Education with a
Okay.
friend of mine who wanted me to be his research associate,
Okay.
Dr. Charles Kidd, who
Dr. Charles Kidd
you were
was
at
the
Olive Harvey when he was there.
yes,
That's
was
where
the
I actually
president
met
of
you.
Olive
You
Harvey.
probably don't remember.
I don't remember
yeah,
that.
I was actually special assistant to him when he.
My goodness.
Yes. Yeah.
Then you know that he was the one who nominated me for the fellowship to go to Northwestern.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I worked in his office. I was special assistant to the
Obviously,
president.
you would have to know that.
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, but I knew him and his wife, and I still know them. I mean,
Where are they?
They're back in Tallahassee.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to New York to be the president of a community college there for a while,
Okay.
and they're back in Tallahassee now.
Okay.
Yes.
All
yeah.
right.
Very
So
happily
you came in to work with Charles Kidd.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And then when he went, where did you go?
Actually, I left there before he did. I did a number of things. I worked in private schools. I worked in educational publishing. I came back to city colleges, actually, and stayed at city colleges since 1988. And I've done a number of things, from being director of institutional research at Malcolm X, to running a retention program at Olive Harvey again, to being the director of institutional research and assistant dean of continuing education at Kennedy King. And when Dr. Watson came, I think I just moved to doing institutional research and planning, you know, planning and program evaluation, and eventually became a dean and a VP. And I was asked to do this when this became available, when the president before me retired. Yeah.
Who was the president before you?
Wellington Wilson.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Wellington.
Yes.
Yes, I knew him.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was a VP under Wellington.
Okay.
And,
Wellington came after Pates?
Wellington came after Pates, and after Dr. Watson came after Pates. Immediately
Okay.
after Pates.
Okay, and then Wellington came after.
Then Dr. Horton was there for a short while.
I remember
Joanne
her.
Horton.
Yes.
Then Wellington.
Okay.
Okay, and then me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you've lasted a long time.
I've done a lot of different things, you know,
Okay.
but I've enjoyed every one of them. I never would have. I never would have chose this field. I chosen this field. I didn't even know a lot about this field when I was freshman, sophomore, junior in college. Just backed into it. Actually, working at University of Michigan, putting together a support services program for African American students. During the time that we were, let's say, gently nudging the university. Sometimes not so gently, that they needed to realize that we were not going to accept that they couldn't find more qualified African American students down in Detroit that was just full of black people. So they gave us, and I'll say to their credit, well, why don't you put together a program if it can be done? And a young, at that time, a young brother started putting the program together and asked me if I would work with him. And I said, yeah, I'll work with you. And that was the first job I ever had working in higher education. And I learned something about myself doing that I got great satisfaction in taking freshman students who many thought would struggle and go home after one semester, and after 2 semesters having them deciding whether or not they were going to be a lawyer or go to med school, because we taught them how to navigate this thing called college, and that there was more to it than what you learned in class. It was what you learned about how you navigate that institution.
Why is it that people think that you can just send students from high school to college, and they just go in and just, knuckle down and do their homework and come out on the other end without any guidance or direction?
I don't know. To me, I think it's part of a problem, and I'm just speaking about my own community now.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the exterior of a lot of things, and we've confused that, I think, with the internal workings of it.
Mm-hmm.
And because we haven't had the opportunity to see the internal workings, we sometimes confuse what we see on the exterior with what's actually happening inside.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get inside and you're really looking for the reality, you'll find it. And we studied the students that were doing well at Michigan. We studied the students who went to med school. We studied what those students did.
Mm-hmm.
And then we taught the African American students to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it really was very easy for them once we knew what the game was. If you want to go to med school, don't confuse learning chemistry with getting into med school.
Mm-hmm.
You need to learn chemistry, but to get into med school, you need to get an A in chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So your task is not only learning chemistry, is how do you get an A in chemistry?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we would teach them the things they needed to do, that they needed a strategy. They didn't need to just take courses. You needed a strategy.
Right.
So you might spend a semester sitting in on a chemistry class and not signing up for it.
Right.
And then sign up for it the next semester.
Right.
But your job is to get an A, so you can go to med school.
Mm-hmm.
And once they learned it, they had it. Once they learned it.
What is your school year? Is it trimesters, semesters?
We're on 2 semesters and a summer, 2 half summer semesters. We can do 2 half summer semesters. Most colleges choose to do an 8-week semester in the summer.
Okay.
But there is room in our calendar for us to do
2 4 weeks.
For us to do actually 16 weeks if we start a May class. Most of the time we don't. Our culinary program, for example, does that long summer semester.
Okay.
But our academic classes, they usually do an 8-week summer semester. Students can usually only take half a load in the summer, half the load in the summer that they would take in the fall.
Okay. When does the semester start?
The summer semester this year is going to start early June, so right after the 1st of June, maybe around the 3rd or 4th of June.
And the fall semester starts?
This year it's going to start the classes are going to start on the 24th. Registration is going to start
Of
actually
what
in the
month?
spring of August.
Of August.
Yes.
Okay.
But students need to understand that if you want to go to college in August, you need to start applying for financial aid for the 2010 year now.
Really?
If you want to get the maximum benefits.
Okay.
You can't wait until you come to Kennedy King College in August and expect to get your financial aid processed in time, or expect that much of it's going to be left, because students will have claimed a lot of it. There probably won't be any work study money left by then.
This is 2009, and you're saying if you want money for 2010, you
When I say 2010, I'm referring to the 2009-2010 school year.
Okay, so you mean that if you come into school in August, if you want to have financial aid for August, you need to be working on that right now. And
for federal financial aid purposes, that's the 2010 school year.
Okay.
Just like this is the 2009 school year.
And there's a lot of documentation that you have to have in order to make these applications.
You have to, well, if you're selected for verification, but even when you go online, it's going to take them some time to actually get back to us. But the most important point I'm making is, if you want to get the state money and all of the possible federal money, you've got to apply early, because there's a finite amount of money available.
Right, and when the pot is empty,
when the pot is empty, the pot is empty. So those who come late, as in most things in life, they get what's left. So if you want to get all you can possibly get, you need to, as soon as those applications become available for next year, and they may be available now, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are.
This is
January,
right.
February, But remember, many schools, students have been applying to places like the University of Michigan and Harvard and DePaul and other. They are applying to those schools for next year now, which means that they're also applying for financial aid. So those schools have to make financial aid decisions about students that are coming in the fall.
Right.
So community college students oftentimes, because that's how they come to us the first time, make the mistake of concluding that's how they ought to keep coming to us. The first time you come to us in August and stand in all those long lines, that's fine, you didn't know any better. But you should never be in those lines again. You should start registering for the spring term in November. You should start registering for the fall term in late March or April. So that your classes, you've already got the seats, you've already got the classes you need. You're not sitting trying to figure out how you can get a schedule to work around your work, because you plan.
What's the length of the fall semester?
Fall semester is about 16 weeks,
to
August until December.
And then you start a winter?
We start the spring. We call it spring.
You call it spring.
And that's from January until May.
May.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and then you have the
then we have the summer session starting early June. You know.
It didn't used to cost a lot to go to junior college, because I went to Crane Junior College.
There's some places, and some people tell me it used to almost cost nothing. And I remember being at Olive Harvey in the early 70s, and I don't think students were actually paying tuition. If they were, it was so low.
It wasn't much.
But it wasn't much at all. One of the things that's happened to funding is funding sources have begun to dwindle, the traditional sources of funding. So that means the community colleges find themselves having to depend more on tuition than they originally did. And the more that happens, the higher tuition.
The tuition goes. Right.
Yes.
Right.
And we try to relieve some of the stress on students by trying to find sources of scholarship funds, et cetera.
You have work study?
We have work study, but students who want work study, they can't come to us in September or in August and expect to get work study, because students who have filed early
have already been
get
assigned.
They get the first opportunity. They get the first right of refusal, so to speak, on work study. Nobody's refusing it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so you have a financial aid office.
Yes, we have a financial aid
You
office.
have counseling.
We have advisors who actually do academic advising, and we have other student support services. I mentioned some of them in terms of like placement. We have something that
You
I'm
have
missing
something
there.
for veterans. I know.
Activities, veterans. Yeah, we have veterans, veteran specialists. And we have someone at Dawson and at Kennedy King who work with veterans and who know how to get them certified, et cetera. We're kind of working on the front end of that now, because we have the first Navy ROTC program to operate on a community college campus.
There's a Navy ROTC?
Yeah. Next fall will be the first time we are recruiting openly for that program. We actually got legally in place to offer it this year, but we're actually starting this recruitment cycle. We'll be working with the Navy ROTC unit at IIT, so students can actually spend their first 2 years with us. If they get admitted to Kennedy King and they have the grades, etc., they maintain their grades, they apply like anybody else for ROTC, Navy ROTC. But there might be students who wouldn't get accepted at IIT, but might get accepted at Kennedy King. They can still get the Navy ROTC scholarship and monthly stipend during their first 2 years, and they can move on to IIT.
What's a monthly stipend?
About $250.
They actually give them money for being in ROTC?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They usually get a scholarship that covers their tuition and books. And they really encourage them to major in science, technology, mathematics, business. But they also accept other majors there's a certain percentage of the cadets, though, that have to be in these fields that are important to the Navy.
What about the bookstore? I'm sure you have one.
We have a bookstore, yeah. It's right there on the corner of Halsted and 63rd Street.
Okay, so it's open to the public.
Yeah.
And you have textbooks, and you have other
textbooks. We have textbook. We have what I call college wear. Kennedy King college wear. We have school supplies.
Okay. Do you have any just current books? Like, would you have Toni Morrison?
Probably not,
Okay.
because it's a small bookstore,
Okay.
and the bulk of their business is
to
textbooks.
service the
Now that's not to
student
say that one of
population.
our classes is not wouldn't use that book in their class, but they would have it for that reason,
Right.
more so than.
So the teachers can go over to the bookstore and have them order
That's what they
the
do.
books,
in fact,
okay,
yeah.
that they want.
Right.
Okay.
Right. They have to
Okay.
submit to the bookstore what the books are that they're going to use, so that the students can go to the bookstore and purchase with cash or credit card or their financial aid vouchers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like you got a pretty overwhelming job there to do, sir. You got a lot of things to oversee, and I'm sure you have some in-service training for your faculty from time to time, and I don't know what else.
Well,
you have
we
to
have
do.
the wonderful support of a district office, so we got a district team, and of course I've got a great team, and I really thank God for my parents who made me humble, so I don't get crazy enough to think that I can do this by myself, because without a lot of the help that I get, there's no way I know I could do it. I couldn't do it. So we have a great team, and everybody is committed to seeing our students educated. And it's the most joyous day of the year is graduation.
Do you do it once a year?
We do it once a year. At this
Okay,
point.
and you do it in your own auditorium?
We do it in our gymnasium. Our auditorium is too small, actually.
Okay.
We do it
What's
in our
the seating
gymnasium.
capacity of your auditorium?
Right, about 300.
About
Yeah,
300.
yeah.
Okay, of course.
And our great hall is about maybe 400, so that's too
Okay.
small for graduation.
Okay.
We do have our GED program has its own graduation.
Okay.
So those students are in cap and gown too.
Okay.
And sometimes that's small enough to happen in the theater, and sometimes it's not. It's too big for the theater.
Okay, no weddings.
No weddings. We try to stay away from weddings and birthdays.
Well, I just thought I'd just see how wide your range was.
No, we try to stay away from that. We have lots of events though. Sakia in the Great Hall, they actually do. They function as banquet facilities.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you could actually lease that for
could
a
lease it.
reception.
Again, for some reason, my provost is not here, so I don't want to misrepresent him.
Okay.
But we have everything from churches rent it for events. Social and civic organizations rent it, and sometimes they book Sakia for events. And we do also have another teaching restaurant called the Parrot Cage.
Where is that?
They're
over there in South Shore Cultural
yeah.
Center. Someone told me about that. I have to
Yeah.
visit there.
Yeah, that's our other one. That was the first one we had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
I understand the food is excellent over
It
there
is.
too.
It is great. It
Well,
is
you
really
you
great.
patronizing your own.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, it's been so wonderful. The time is gone.
It went by
Yes,
quickly. Yes.
and I'm so happy that you came to see me,
Okay.
President.
Okay. Well, we'll have to do it again.
Not all the presidents are in Washington. We
No.
got some right here in the neighborhood.
Well, when I think my job is hard, I think about his.
Okay.